right, welcome to the side of the ring because it's time for Ringside. Got a bunch of news lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen, so without further ado, we're just gonna PW Insider says there's a backstage feeling of relief in WWE after Vince McMahon resigned from TKO. There are people in the company who felt he was, quote, a black cloud hanging over everything, even when he wasn't involved much, and they are glad he is finally gone. I'm gonna be 100% honest with everybody in this room. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I don't think he's gone, because if that was the case, he wouldn't have come back before. Do you remember that? He wouldn't have come back at all if that was the case. So I feel like, to be fair though, I think the reason why he came back is because he didn't, I don't know. To be honest with you, I literally have no idea why he even bothered to come back in the first place. I don't want to sound pessimistic, right? And I don't want to linger on this for too long, but you have to understand who he is, right? And for someone to come back even in the first place, right, when the initial allegations came out from Wall Street Journal and everybody cheered him and for him to think that it was okay to do that in the first place really doesn't surprise, first of all, it doesn't surprise me. Second of all, really does not make me feel as though that is not something that he wouldn't do a second. I think he's going to do it again. I personally feel like he's going to wait for this to die down and then he's going to come back and see how he feels. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So if they allow him to come back again, then, I mean, I don't even know what to say at that point. To be fair, though, I think he is still, I don't want to say that, he resigned. Does he still not have the shares? That's what makes me think he's going to come back. Because I feel like that's the reason why he came back in the first place. Is because he had, more of the shares in WWE, so I feel like that's more of a reason why he's going to come back again. I don't 100% know. Even if he does try to come back, I don't know if they're going to let him. Hopefully he doesn't, and hopefully this is the last time we hear of Vince McMahon. Next, per Fightful Select, before Trinity Fatu left TNA, she told people there that she's returning to WWE, and it sounds like that could happen tonight at Royal Rumble. So, at the time of this recording, Royal Rumble has already passed, and at the time of this upload, Monday Night Raw is tonight. So, I don't know if we're going to see her on Raw. I don't know if we're going to see her on SmackDown. I mean, I'm not really too worried about that, simply because I'm so happy that she's back. I didn't know she was going to be number 2. I thought she was going to be like number 25 or something like that. I thought they usually save all of the, big names and whatnot for the later ons and what have you. But listen, I'm not really complaining. She lasted a long time, okay? She showed up at number 2, so I was like, okay, are they gonna throw her out after number 15 or something? But she was actually there for quite some time. Shout out to Jordan Grace, she was also there. They mentioned that she came in with the Knockouts Women's Championship. So listen, shout out to her. So not really much to say because there's not really too much that they kind of alluded to in terms of a storyline or anything like that, that could potentially happen. And also, I don't know where she's going to end up. I don't know if she's going to be NXT, SmackDown, you know what I mean? So, at this moment, the roster is hoist at the moment. And I'm really going to be, I wonder if they're going to do the same thing with CM Punk, where it's going to be like, oh, where's she going to sign? So we're going to have to wait and see what ends up happening. When we go over to AEW, this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter says the belief in AEW is that Mercedes Moné and Kazuchika Okada will, quote, both be starting soon for the company. As far as Mercedes is concerned, quote, there is talk her debut will be played up extremely big and that announcement could be soon. I'm going to go ahead and I want to apologize to everyone, okay? If you're confused, then please, by all means, sit down right next to me, okay? We will both be confused together, okay? Because, man, if I had a nickel for every time, it was, oh, AEW, and then, oh, WWE, and oh, AEW, okay? Man, all right? Listen, okay? Ed, oh, you said he was going to WWE. To be fair, I never said he was particularly going anywhere. I'm going off of what I'm reading, please. You have to understand that I'm a human being, okay? And things, when I read things, I just assume they're true. Not everything, all right? The point I'm trying to make is that, it's been ping-ponging. And I thought they were going to, look, so it sounds like they're both going to AEW. It sounds like they're both going to AEW. I was under the impression that Mercedes Moné was going to AEW, and I kind of just left it at that. I was under the impression that Kazuchika Okada was going to WWE, and I left it at that. On Friday, I was fully on board and fully convinced that Kazuchika Okada was going to WWE and he was going to start in NXT. And I was like, great, okay, perfect. I think they're going to do great with him. And now he's not only going to AEW, he's going to be starting pretty soon. So, look, if you're just as confused as I am, great. okay? I hope no one's upset and is under the impression that I was alluding to any type of specific factual allegiance to whichever company. Hopefully that's not the case. I don't think it's, that serious. But yeah, I completely understand, again, if that is what you're under the impression of, because, man, these two have just been just hopping back and forth, man, just train hopping like it's some sort of just a hopscotch game or something. But I mean, okay, it sounds like they're going to AEW. Okay, that's what it sounds like. All right, so this is the CM Punk thing all over again. I don't know what to believe anymore. So I'm just going to assume, all right, that they're both going to AEW, and that's where they're going to end up. I could be wrong. Okay, I don't 100% know, so we are just gonna have to wait and see. At this point, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and just wait and see what happens. Moving back over to AEW, The Observer notes that a women's championship match at WrestleMania 40 between Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch has been, quote, planned for months and is, quote, still on the schedule. That makes a Lynch favorite to win the women's Royal Rumble match. So, Lynch obviously did not win, unfortunately. To be fair, though, the reason why I thought Lynch was going to win is because the fact that they had Ripley versus Lynch planned so far ahead for WrestleMania 40. So I was like, okay, there you go. I mean, what better way to just sort of like lock that in than for her to win the Royal Rumble? She didn't. Shout out to Bayley. I'm curious as to how that matchup, because I feel like it's going to be her and Io Sky. I could be wrong, but I feel like they're going to throw her out of Damage Control and then she's going to challenge for the title at WrestleMania, and that's when she's going to win it, So, yeah, that's why I thought that Becky Lynch was going to win. But I will say this, the fact that they've been planning it so far ahead for months obviously means that you don't have to win at the Royal Rumble. If you've been planning it so far ahead, the Royal Rumble is literally not even a factor because, whatever you already had planned, the Royal Rumble didn't really, need to be involved because you obviously would have just had something going in the pipeline already. And that's kind of why I thought that CM Punk was going to win, because, again, if you want to lock it in, that's the best way to do it. But you can obviously have Punk and Rollins sort of like build to a match. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? Like, if you were already going to do it, you were already going to do it. You know what I mean? So, like, Royal Rumble didn't really need to be any type of, like, influential factor in this whole situation in the first place. So, I mean, they're going to do it, and, there's not really much else to say because it was going to happen. So whether Becky won or not, it was already in the pipeline. Whether Punk won or not, it was already in the pipeline. I'm assuming they're going to do Punk versus Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Could be wrong. Okay. After everything that I've been reading about these last couple months, okay, I don't know anything. All right. So I'm assuming it's going to be Lynch and Rhea, Bayley and Sky, and then Punk and Rollins, and then Cody and Roman. That's what I'm assuming is gonna be on the cards for WrestleMania. So just gonna have to wait and see how that gets built. Moving back to AEW, F4W Online's Dave Meltzer believes Kosha Irby will try to improve AEW's poor ticket sales by booking, quote, more shows in major markets and, quote, less shows in places like Bossier City, Louisiana, or Savannah, Georgia. I apologize if I butchered, I think it's Bossier City. I don't know. I have no idea. I get why though. So, on one hand, I can see what Tony Khan is trying to do. Okay, I need you to follow me along. I just need you to play with me in this space, okay? You want to get people in smaller towns to watch AEW. Yes, there's less people, but that is more of a chance that those people who maybe don't even know about wrestling could get into not just wrestling, but AEW. So you kind of want to like go to like a little small corner of Louisiana and see if you can suck up as many people as you possibly can. On the other hand, though, in the inverse, you're going to a small town. If they don't watch wrestling, they're not going to come. So not only are you going to have less people showing up, not only, right, if you showed up to like New York City, New York, and not that many people show up, take the amount of people who are not going to show up and then, like, have that. So now you've got even less people showing up because they're not going to come watch AEW. So I can see, I mean, I could be wrong, but if I could just sort of close my eyes and imagine myself in the shoes of Tony Khan, I could understand why that is something that he wants to do. And, I mean, hearing that, him going to, like, all these little middle of nowhere, not middle of nowhere, but you know what I mean? Like, it's more smaller town, less densely populated, less, like, you know, lively places. You know what I mean? I understand why the stadiums and, you know, were a little bit, you know, not as filled as they, I guess, normally would be. You know what I mean? So it makes a lot of sense that you know, there's not that many people. So hopefully, you know, that gets remedied in the near future. Hopefully they start moving to a little bit more densely populated areas, or at least areas that are like more fans of, I don't know, I guess, like, I don't know, I'm not a geographer, the point I'm trying to make, okay, is that they're going to hopefully fix this. And this is hopefully, okay, going to help AEW, at least in terms of ticket sales in the long run, because the average viewership isn't really, like, you know, fluctuating that extremely. It usually falls between like 830, 850, 870 viewers, right? So hopefully this is going to improve ticket sales going forward, and we're going to be seeing AEW on the uptick in the near future. Finally, a shirt celebrating Vince McMahon's 1999 Royal Rumble win was available for sale at Tampa's Raymond James Stadium on Thursday, but PW Insider says it was removed from the WWE Superstore by Friday morning. By yesterday afternoon, it was also pulled from their online store. They want absolutely nothing to do with this guy. They want this guy completely removed from all, I mean, as far as I can tell, they really want to, like, completely erase this guy from your memory, okay? I swear it was on Reddit, and I mean, I don't know if it was like an article or something, but there was like a quote that was like, they're giving Vince McMahon the Chris Benoit treatment, which, I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense. This guy is a completely deplorable human being, and man, get rid of him. There should be no fans of him whatsoever. When he came back and everybody was bowing him and clapping, that should have not even happened at all. And I shudder to think how the WWE universe, the casual fans, we'll say the casual fans, I shudder to think how they would react. To be fair though, well, I say that, but the Wall Street Journal is, as far as I know, a very big, you know, news company, news outlet, and for the initial allegations to come out and for them to still be cheering him, you know, boggles the mind, and it worries me that if he were to come out now, you know, in this sort of temperature, it worries me what type of reception he would get. I would hope it would be more on the negative side, but the fact that when he came initially, it was more on the positive side, just makes my mind melt, okay, into a pudding. So he's gone, and I don't want him to come back. I just want to preface this, okay? I don't like him, and I don't want him to come back. And I was just worried that he's going to do the same thing that he did before, where he's going to wait for everything to die down, and he's going to try and come back again. Maybe, like, you know, feel out how the fans and the audience sort of feel about him. I don't think they don't even let him get that far. All right, I don't even want to show. I don't want him to show up on the sidewalk in front of the club. If he's on the other side of the street, fine. Even then, I don't want him anywhere near it. Okay, I hope he doesn't come back, and I hope they don't even mention him anymore. I hope every time you see him, his face is blurred out. All right, I don't even want to talk about Vince McMahon. What are we talking about? Vince is gone. People in WWE said he was a black cloud. I'm glad that black cloud is finally gone. The less we talk about him, the better. Insider claims there's a belief in WWE that Endeavor will clean house and get rid of anyone close to McMahon in order to, quote, have a fresh start for the company. I don't know who that could be. At this point, I don't even know who that could be. I mean, Laurinaitis, done. At this point, if I bought Vince McMahon a cup of coffee, I would be banging on the door of the WWE offices and being like, I do not agree with anything that this man said. Okay, I'm completely independent. All right, the company of Ed Boy Incorporated does not share the beliefs of Vince McMahon. Thank you very much. Okay, okay. So Naomi is now in WWE. I don't know where she's gonna, you know, end up. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. A WWE source expressed doubt to Fightful about Sasha Banks returning to WWE. So she and Okada are both going to AEW. I assumed she was going to AEW, right? I didn't know where Okada was going. It sounds like Okada's going to AEW. So we're just gonna have to wait and see when they show up. All right, the Observer notes that women's champ. Okay, so Rhea and Lynch is still planned for WrestleMania. That's why I thought that Lynch was going to win the Rumble. She didn't win the Rumble. So, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to happen. So, you know, that also doesn't necessarily mean that Punk and Rollins isn't going to happen. You know what I mean? The Royal Rumble wasn't really a huge factor. So, excited to see how that match turns out. Okay, Meltzer believes Kosha Irby will try to improve AEW support ticket sales. Again, I understand. Oh, okay, I can understand why Tony Khan might have gone to like smaller cities to see if he can sort of like pull in more potential wrestling fans. If you go to a smaller town, maybe they don't watch wrestling, maybe you can get them into wrestling. But the inverse is, if you go to a smaller town and they aren't wrestling fans, that's less people coming to see your show. So on one hand, I understand. On the other hand, if it doesn't work, it does not work. You know what I mean? So, yeah, okay. And a shirt celebrating Vince's 1999 Royal Rumble win was available. They took it down. They're taking everything down. I don't want any mention of Vince McMahon. Again, like I said, I want his face blurred. I want them to do the thing where they would talk about the WWF and they would just blur out the F part. You know, no more Vince. All right, that's how I'm feeling. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs. Big hugs all around.